Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today. Let's close this thing up and have a talk. Well, welcome back, man. It's great to talk with you guys today, man. What a beautiful day it is. It's actually a little brisk out here for me. Not brisk at all for most. You might be saying, well, Coach, don't you normally are doing Biketoberfest about this time of year? And you're correct. I normally am. However, I'm not now because we've got a few things going on at the house with my daughter, and that's just the way it is. You've got to put first things first, and that's where we are. So she's first. She's more important than motorcycle rallies and stuff like that. But this week, it's funny, you know, it seems things are quite cyclical in nature, you know, in life. I got a couple of emails this week, and it's interesting because oddly enough, it's on a topic, you know, I was talking last week about our demographic being, you know, 55 and older. Well, I got two emails from gentlemen this week, both of them retiring, looking down the barrel of retirement, and they're like, do you have any advice on retirement? And of course, you know, I sat down and I wrote down some things, and I went on a hike today with a buddy of mine, and we discussed these things. I had a list, and so we discussed this list together, and it's pretty interesting. So these are the 5 things that I quit doing when I retired. Now you could say the 5 things I quit doing when I'm 60, 55, 65, whatever, wherever you are, when you get to that place in life and you go, hey, it's time to start figuring out who I am and what I'm going to do. So let's get on with the list. Let's not dawdle, but be sure to give the video a big old fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. All right. So the very first thing I did, and you're gonna say, oh, Coach Bob, that is too obvious. Number one is I actually quit working. Now, when I say that, people are going, well, duh. But I don't think most people realize what I mean by that. Here's what I mean. I quit thinking about it. I quit talking about it. When I worked for the FAA, it was a great career. I loved it. It was wonderful. And I worked with some great people. I worked with some not so great people as well, as all of us have. But what happened is the day I walked out of there, Coach Vic, it's funny, at my retirement party, and if I can find a picture of it, I'll share it with you here. She brought scissors to my retirement party. And I wore khaki pants like every day for 25 years. They were always pressed and looking sharp. And we walked into that party that night, and she had scissors, and her and everyone started cutting my pants up. They all cut up my khaki pants. She goes, if you want khaki pants, you won't be wearing these. I'm like, okay, I can live with that. But that was part of my identity. I had a kind of a little uniform almost that I wore. I would wear my khaki pants, my cardigan sweaters, and button-up shirts and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, I didn't have to do that anymore. But that was just a small piece of it, right? Every day I'd go into work. I had a methodology to everything I did. Everything from walking into the building to making my coffee to reading the A binder and the B binder and getting prepared emotionally, physically, intellectually, spiritually for whatever the day may hold. It was a high-stress job. I loved every second of it. It was phenomenal. But when I walked out, I was like, I don't do this anymore. I don't do it anymore. In fact, I'm not even going to think about it anymore. I would get calls from the facility, and they go, hey, Bob, could you give me some advice on this? And my response was, no, I cannot. I don't work for the agency anymore, and I can't help you. And then very quickly, they quit calling. When I go by the airport, I don't look. I don't want to know. I don't want to see it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be a part of it. I am retired. I closed that door in my life. Now, there's always the yin and yang, right? If you close the door on something that you've done your entire life, the next thing you have to do is open the door on something new. So by simply stopping working and no longer taking part of it, I mean, if I hear an airplane fly over top, I look at the ground. I do. I just look down because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it because I'll start vectoring in my head. You have to find a purpose. And if you don't find a purpose when you retire, I will tell you, you're going to get lost. That purpose could be riding motorcycles. That purpose could be having the most perfect yard in the neighborhood. It could be finally having the time to get in shape, having the time to spend with your bride, having the time to enjoy friends more. But you have to have a purpose, and you have to focus that energy on something that you find fulfilling. Because if you just go home and you go, I'm through working, and you don't have something you want to do, you're going to be one miserable dude. It's fun at first, right? And then you're like the kid who's home on sick day, right? You had to go to the dentist in the morning, so you're really not sick, but your mom told you could have the whole day off. But all your friends are still at school, so you can't play with anybody. You're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs. That's how retirement feels if you don't have a purpose. Because all your friends, or a lot of your friends, may still be working, or they may be retired and they found their purpose, and you don't have a purpose yet, and you're going to feel lost as a goose. One of the startling statistics that I had discovered not long after I retired, you have a 300% greater chance of dying the year you retire than any other year in your young adult life. That's pretty amazing. The lack of work and the lack of direction, it can kill you. So be careful with that. Walk away from your career. I said, no, I'm no longer doing it, and I found a purpose. My purpose was riding motorcycles and having the freedom to stay fit and having a little more time to sit on the back patio and enjoy that coffee. And by the way, sitting on the patio and drinking coffee is a purpose. It is indeed a purpose. To sit out there and ponder all of the beauty that your life has, it's a wonderful thing. So the first thing, close the door on the job. Be done with it. I am finished with that work. Number 2, this was a big one. This was a very big one for me. I quit hanging out and quit dealing with toxic people. Now, I don't like that phrase. I think that's a buzzword, is toxic. Toxic this and toxic that. Even toxic, the word, I find appalling, right? But I had to deal with buttholes at work. I just did. I was the boss. So if a guy was going to be an idiot, he was going to be a jerk, he was going to say stuff to pilots, and you're going to constantly deal with him all the time. It's not fun. And you get tired of it. You get tired of dealing with the same thing. 90% of my career was dealing with 10% of my people who just couldn't behave like responsible adults. I loved my career, but I want you to know that if I could have cut that out, man, my life would have been so much easier, and I could have made it, I could have focused on more productive things. So what do I mean by toxic people? People that don't add to your life, people that make your life miserable, people who are angry all the time, complaining all the time, whining all the time. I don't want to be around those people, and I will find a way. If someone is around, I will find a way to leave. I'll just leave. I've gone to parties where it was just nothing but a bunch of whiners, and it was like, see ya, where are you going? Going home. Why are you going home? I'm tired, I'm going to bed, I'm done. I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm not going to listen to a lot of people drag energy out of my body with their negative self-talk and their hatred of the world. I'm just not going to do it. So on the counterpart of that means that you don't want to spend your retirement alone. Now, I know people will say, well, I bought a dog and I hate people. Okay, well, you're probably one of the people that I would avoid. If you hate people by the very nature of being negative and arbitrary, I would say you're probably one of those guys. You may not be, but you probably are. And you need to look in the mirror and question yourself on that one. You have to surround yourself with positive people. People that are good. People that you find interesting. If you take up a new hobby, find someone who's talented and hang out with them. If they're 20 years younger than you, that's okay. When I was a young man, look at that. Is that absolutely beautiful? I love this ride. There's the old cows. Move it on over. But when I got serious about riding motorcycles, I'm like, who can I hang out with that's gonna help me grow in that area? And I found some guys, Ted at Florida Motorsports, now he's working with Ride Now, Matt at Florida Motorsports. There were tons of people out there. My buddy Ken, who, you know, we worked together. We've done a lot of things together. We've done the Ironman together. We hiked together. That's who I was talking to about this video. He was a pallbearer at my first wife's funeral. We've been friends forever. He is an awesome guy. He is a positive person, and he did the same thing I did. That's one of the things we both, you know, we held in great common ground in the fact that we said, we're done. When we walk away, we don't, look, we're two retired air traffic supervisors, and we don't talk about it at all. You would never know. We'll talk about Ironman training. We'll talk about children, motorcycles. We'll talk about health. Well, heck, we'll even talk about politics and laugh about it. So you're gonna have to carve out the negative people, and you're gonna have to, you know, put in positive people. That can be really hard. That's a big transition for folks. But if you had dog poop laying all over the floor, you know, you scoop it out and throw it out. And sometimes, sadly, that's what you have to do. Now, I'm going to tell you, the negative people that I knew when I worked, I've gotten phone calls from many of them since I've retired. And they have told me they wish they would have listened to me and wish they wouldn't have been so negative throughout their career. And as they have retired, we've become friends. They're no longer toxic, hateful individuals. And they really, really don't feel good about the years that they threw away. So if you're still working and you're thinking about this, if you are that person, change your lifestyle, change your habits. Don't be that guy. It's not worth it. And you're not doing anything but making your life more miserable, I assure you of that. And those around you. So carving out toxic people, that was a big one. All right, this next one is one that I think everyone will agree with, and they'll probably disagree with the, wow, crazy, dirt bike, no helmet. Crazy. Yeah, let me get on the concrete with knobby tires and no gear. That sounds safe. No lights, no gear. Anyway, but number 3 is one that we say we do, and I'm going to say I don't completely feel this way, is that I quit caring what other people think. I'm not going to say that, because I do care what other people think. I care what my wife thinks. I care what my friends think. I care what my pastor thinks. I care what you think. It matters to me. My reputation matters. So I do care what people think. Here's what I will tell you. I didn't quit caring what people thought. I quit worrying about what people thought. So how does that unpack? Well, it means this. If you're gonna say something arbitrary about me, my lifestyle, what I do, what I say, the video content, you may go, hey coach, that doesn't interest me at all. I've had people say that, you know, hey coach, I'm leaving the channel because I don't like the direction you've taken. And what I tell them is, hey man, I appreciate your feedback. God bless you. I hate to see you go. And that's how I feel. I'm not mad. I'm not angry about it. And I will assess where I am. The Coach Bob 3 channel, I will tell you, is like Coach Bob 3. I am Bobby 3. That was my name as a boy, because I'm the third. My mom called me Bobby 3 my whole life. You know, my dad called me Bobby 3. My grandparents did. I'm actually Coach Bob 3. I am. But the Coach Bob 3 channel is an extension of me. This channel is an extension of my life and the things that I go through from week to week. It's not just a CanAm channel. It is a CanAm channel. It's also a motorcycle channel of all kinds. It's a self-help, it's weight loss, it's motivation, it's inspiration, it's everything. It's me. That's what the channel is. So when someone goes, well, I hate your channel, they hate me. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. But understand that I will not worry about it. I'll make change and adjustments if it's necessary, and if I think it's unnecessary, after I make an assessment, then I'm not going to worry about it. And once I make a decision, I don't worry about it anymore. You know, my daughter's been sick this year, as you guys know. It's been a really, really tough time. She's living at the house right now, has been for about the last 2 weeks. She's been violently ill. I mean, just violently ill. Coughing so hard. It's just, it's unimaginable at the trauma that she's going through right now on a day-to-day basis. And it's very, very hard to do anything and to get away at all. Coach Vic squeezes little time windows for me to go for my walks every day, and squeezes out a time window for me to go for rides, and then I squeeze out time for her to go coach. She has continued to coach, but we both couldn't coach because we couldn't both be gone. We have to be gone away from home at different times. I received a lot of criticism and a lot of, well, why are you leaving? Why you're letting us down? You're this, you're that. I mean, they weren't ugly about it, but, and then when, you know, Coach Vic will ask me a question, well, what would you do? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I would do, but man, I'm glad I'm done with this. I finished coaching. I'm not a swim coach anymore. I'll always be Coach Bob. I'm there for the children. I love every one of them. But to go and to plan and to deal with parents and the region and the Florida High School Athletic Association and athletic directors and problem and politics on the swim deck, I just don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. And I don't worry about it. I don't worry about what people are saying. I made the decision I had to make for my life, and whether people agree with it or disagree with it, the decision's made, and I don't think about it anymore. And honestly, if someone came to me and said, hey coach, why'd you retire? I'm like, I just decided to retire. I don't owe anyone an explanation, which is next. Number 4, I don't owe anyone an explanation. I quit explaining myself. And I have quit explaining myself. You know, when you're younger, you try to explain everything you do, why you do it, blah, 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 blah. And I no longer do that. If I want to sleep late, I'll sleep late. If I want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If I want to go to the gym 3 times in one day, I'll go to the gym 3 times in one day. Well, why are you doing that? Because I want to. I just want to. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to explain it. Because there may be no explanation. But it's amazing how the world will often want to hold you accountable for things that don't pertain to them and things that really are your decision to begin with. You know, I've been very good about this kind of thing for a long, long time. As a coach, I would have parents ask me something, and I would say, because that's the decision that I made as a coach. And they would be like, why? I'm like, because that's the decision that I made as a coach. When I retired at the age of 50, I stopped explaining myself to people. I no longer had to rely on whether I gave someone the appropriate or absolutely correct answer. I didn't have to worry about that anymore. And so I just quit explaining myself. All right, number 5. Number 5 to me was a big one. And we're going to have a bonus. We're going to end up with 6, okay? So number 5 is this. I buried the past. I quit worrying about the past. You know, the past is a dangerous place. We often worry. We look back with regret at the things we could have done, we should have done, we might have done. You know, I could have done this. I was smart enough to do that. I could have made this decision. I could have held this position at work. It could have been so much better. And we look back. And I'm going to tell you, when you look backwards, you run into walls because you're not looking where you're going. And that's the thing you have to do when you retire. You have to look where you're going. But I quit having regret, because regret, man, again, that is a dark road that you do not want to travel. It's a bad spot, and you don't want to be there. You know, I've got friends who are retired, and they live in maybe a small house. I got a real good friend, lives in a very small house, a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. It's a beautiful home. It's clean. The yard is perfectly maintained. And they go, well, you know, come on over, but, you know, my house is kind of, and I'm like, brother, do not apologize for your house. And he'll go, well, if I'd only done this, I could have had the bigger house. I'm like, quit worrying about the past, man. The house you have is beautiful. You are an exceptional homeowner. Look at what you've done here. You have a purpose and you've maintained it meticulously. Be proud of what you have because you've accomplished great things. And you know what? I add to his life and he adds to mine. And that's a wonderful thing. So quit worrying about the past. Don't look back and go, I could have, I should have, I would have. There's nothing there but the squandering of time, and you won't do number 6. I quit planning for the future. That's right. You know, that may sound crazy, but number 6, I quit planning for the future. You know, as a retired individual, I don't have to have benchmarks anymore. Did you have benchmarks at work? I did. You know, well, in 3 years I need to accomplish this, in 5 years I need to accomplish that. I need to do this, I need to do that. And so I was constantly planning for the future. Now, I'm not saying don't have goals. You know, look, you can have a goal of losing weight, but you don't need to put a hard benchmark on it. You don't have to go, you know, well, you know, by the time this year, next year, I have to accomplish this and I have to accomplish that, because if I don't, my life is a failure. Again, goals are great, but you don't want to be a slave to them. And I find that if I plan for the future too much, I do that. You know, this guy you may have heard of, he was in the Bible, his name was Jesus. He said, yesterday's gone, tomorrow you're not promised, and today has enough evil of its own. I'm going to tell you, today has enough evil of its own. You don't have to worry about the future. Let the future take care of itself. You just get up and do your thing. Have a purpose. Get up and do your thing. But worrying about the future and dreading the future, you know, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be looking at my ugly mug, because if not, you're going to be looking into that sunshine a lot. I'll give you as much of the road as I can, but blinding you is not a good thing. You know, the future can be bleak as well. You know, right now we're dealing with some very serious things with my daughter. What does the future hold? We don't know what the future holds, quite frankly. We just don't know. If I live in the future, man, I can borrow future trouble. Man, I can do it. I can paint a bleak picture. You know what I want to do? I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy now. I want to enjoy my daughter now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when I lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna. You know what? If you want to lose 10 pounds, start doing it. Quit going, when I lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna. You're not gonna. Just start losing it and don't worry about it. Especially if you're retired. Who are you going to answer to anyway? What are you going to do? You know, take away your candy bar? You know, have a plan. Get up and execute your daily plan. Don't worry about all the, oh, you know, I've got a plan for this and that. And again, I'm not saying don't make vacation plans. That's not what I'm talking about. I think anyone with a modicum of common sense will understand what I mean by long-term future things. You know, I'm going to be quite honest with you, and it may sound awfully bleak, may sound grim reaperish, but I always tell Vicki, with me, hey, treat this birthday, my birthday, treat it as if it's my last. I'm not promised the next birthday. Don't say next year I'm gonna. If you're gonna next year, go ahead and do it. Don't plan the future for my birthday, because I dadgum well may not be here. I live now, right now, not back there, not up there, right now. Treat my Christmas as if it's my last. If you were like, man, I want to buy you that Rolex, Coach. There you go, Coach Vic. I planted the seed. If you want to buy me that Rolex, don't wait till next year. Go ahead and get me that thing now. I'd like to have it now. I'm just kidding. But you do have to live in the now. There's a book, I believe it's by Eckhart Tolle. I could be wrong on that. If I am, I'll drop the name of the author up here. It's about living in the now. It's very, very interesting. It literally talks about, you don't live at that sign up there, and you don't live at that trash pile back there. You're right here And then when you're at that sign, now. I mean, he makes it so finite about living in the now. It will open your eyes as to how much time we waste. And it's when you consciously start thinking about how much time you squander, you'll realize it. You want to value every moment. And that's what living in the now is. You want to value this moment. You guys know that I'm a fitness buff, and I love going to the gym, and I love hiking on the trail and going for a jog, and I love, you know, finding new recipes to eat more healthy. I love that stuff. I love it. But I'm not planning train track. Here we go. Ooh. But I am not planning, you know, on where I'm going to be in December, January, or March. You know what? I'm doing it now. I may make a special guacamole or a special, Coach Vic's been laughing at me. I've been working on my salsa, y'all. Not the dance. The salsa with cut up, you know, tomatoes and onions and cilantro and all that kind of stuff, man. And I like doing that stuff. So I'll get up and I'll Google how to make the best salsa. And I'll go to the store and I'll buy all the stuff. And I do it right then. I love every second of it. It is the most exciting thing to me. I just love it. It really makes me happy. And I know that sounds silly, making salsa. You know, one of the things that I chose to do when I retired, not that, you know, well, it's been a long time now, about 13 years since I retired. But what I chose to do was eat healthier. That was one of the things I wanted to do. That was something that I wanted to make part of my daily regimen. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to eat a pizza. I'll eat you a pizza now. I'll eat a pizza like a champ. In fact, I will tell you right now, I'm a gold medalist pizza eater. I'll eat some junk. I'll drink a Coca-Cola. For those who know me, they know that. But by and large, 90% of what I eat is a whole food, and it's good for me. I enjoy it. I don't do it because I want to be skinny. I do it because it's good for me, and I love it. It's great. So I'm always on the quest for a new recipe. So if you got a link for like salsa or some special guac or a rub for chicken or beef or how to prepare shrimp or mahi a certain way, drop it down below. I'll check it out. I love doing that stuff. So there you have it. 6 things that I quit. And not only the 6 things that I quit, but what I did to fill that void, because you just don't want to leave a gap, right? Gaps are dangerous. You know, it's like a hole when you're walking. You put your foot in that gap and you all of a sudden you twist your ankle and snappity pop, there you are. So we don't live in a vacuum. If you stop something, you're going to leave a void there. You have to fill it with something good. And if you don't, you're not going to live in the now, because you're going to create a bunch of problems in the now. And you'll figure it out. You know, there's nothing wrong also with messing up. Understand, when you mess up, that's just an opportunity to learn. That's where I am. I'm through worried about messing up. I don't have to explain myself to nobody when I mess up, because if I did, I'd be explaining all the time. All right. Another one in the books. But before we go, if you would, give the video a big old fat thumbs up, because you know a regular thumbs up wouldn't do. Leave a comment again, then start a conversation. You know the algorithm loves the comment section. So until next time, though, I want you, yes you, do me a favor, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you are definitely doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and I'll see you on the road real soon. And I guarantee you, when I'm there, I will be present in that moment. God bless.